really care. Saints Row gameplay, huge preview. Think they doing right? You think we're going? All right.
Today we honor the 3rd year of our quest against the legions of Cyril.
Even its irreverent embrace of
Let's see what it's talking about. You can prank your co-op partner.
Pretty cool. According to the developers, Saints Row will literally let you prank your co-op partner.
What they mean?
In Game Informer, Traficante said it's something totally different that we've never done before and that players are going to absolutely love. When they get together, they get access to the pranking system, and you can just let your imagination run with what would you do to prank your co-op partner. Okay, so what type of pranks are we talking about? For me, I'm hoping for more fourth wall breaking stuff. Maybe you can change the music on your partner's game to something like, I don't know, 1970s porno music. Or maybe you can change your partner's voice to sound like they just inhaled a bunch of helium. Those are just some random
You can hear this?
But consider my curiosity peaked.
Porno music. Progress carry.
Frustrating aspects to some co-op resting and fun mechanics to deploy a parachute to touch down. Making things even more convenient is that similar to, say, Far Cry 6, the developers have said when you fast travel, you'll have the option to drop out of the sky and use your wingsuit to glide to the ground.
Why we getting wingsuits still? This is not Saints Row.
There are what Game Informer called, quote, designated launchers throughout the world that I'm guessing will help you gain significant altitude if you don't want to instead leap off a tall building. That could be what we see here, but this
you ain't hearing this?
Me like something else. Maybe some sort of bomb that explodes, launching you into the air.
No, I guess no one's gonna say it, so I guess I gotta say it, man. We can't let this slide.
Calm down, son. It's just a drawing, not the real thing. Now we're gonna show you this picture again, and you tell us if you've seen this guy, understand? Okay.
Have you seen this man?
Stay indoors, son.
And, take that cone off your head.
What's up, YouTube? Boy, AKT dog. I will start studying this a serious video. I was sitting here watching It's Reese video of reacting to this new Saints Row gameplay, and it don't even look half good. Like they didn't improve on anything. So I'm finna give my my feedback on this damn disgrace, because this is one of my favorite games. They messing it up. Go.
If it weren't for its ridiculous action, its disregard for realism, and even its irreverent embrace of profanity, Saints Row might never have set itself apart as a standout open-world franchise.
I'm let it play, but that's one reason why they messing up right now.
So when the Saints Row reboot revealed a more grounded tone, Saints Row fans were understandably disappointed.
What do you mean more grounded tone? That's what we wanted. Cause Saints Row 4 wasn't grounded. You in the air half the time. And then Saints Row 3, Don't even get me started in that game. That game's so sad. Continue.
But tone is one thing. What about gameplay? Will there still be a ton of crazy stuff to do? Or is this really shaping up to be a bland Grand Theft Auto clone?
See, that's what that's what it is. They made Saints Row 3 and 4 trying to stop being like a Grand Theft Auto clone. In my opinion, it was never a Grand Theft Auto clone. If you call that a Grand Theft Auto clone, well, if you call Saints Row 1 and 2 a Grand Theft Auto clone, so that means any game that you can run around freely, do missions, shoot people, and steal cars is a Grand Theft Auto clone. What is they talking about, bro? It's their fault and it's the people's fault. They keep on calling you keep calling games Grand Theft Auto clone. Like, what are you talking about? So you telling me which one came out first, PUBG or Fortnite? I'll say PUBG came out first. So when Fortnite came out, Fortnite was Battle Royale. So that means Fortnite is a PUBG clone. But you can just build. And then when Fortnite was out, when they start releasing other Battle Royale games, they start calling every game just like Fortnite. Like they never heard of a Battle Royale before. Like what like that shit like I ain't even trying to cuss, but that's pissing me off for real. Let's go.
To answer that question, I examined tons of interviews, articles, and reports, and I've summed up everything I learned in this video. Now, I do stay away from story details, but if you're curious what it might be like to actually play this game, then I hope you'll join me as I look at
We actually need a good story, so you don't need to stay away from that. You need to get in tune with that.
19 intriguing gameplay details about Saints Row.
Not trying to hear that. Look at that. Look how they flying. Look at that tank. Why did that tank look too futuristic? Like, I can't. Come on with the gameplay, bro. The map might be bigger than you think.
First
Okay.
off, the developers have mentioned in multiple interviews that Santo Ileso is the largest map ever in a Saints Row game. However, they've also said this is by no stretch the biggest open world map ever created, so don't expect something overwhelming. But one really strange thing about the previews for Saints Row has to do with how many districts you might explore across the city of Santo Ileso.
Well, is it going to be
Some
good
previews
districts?
claim there will be 9 districts. Take a listen.
Districts.
This doesn't really
Districts
matter.
going to be like? Well, we've heard a few turf of Los Panteros, a rival gang. Now let's look at one of the cooler ways you'll use to frequently get around.
One of the cooler ways. What are you talking about? You'll use the wingsuit a lot. That's not cool. Well, I mean, it could be cool, but not in a Saints Row game, bro. Like, put that in something else, man.
While the superpowers in Saints Row 4 are obviously
Or make it a cheat code. Like, come on, man. Like, it's not that hard.
gone, the revamped wingsuit mechanics of the reboot might be the next best thing. Heck, when it comes to flying, or rather gliding, it might actually be just as good. For one, the steering controls look gliding, it might actually be the next best thing. Heck, when it comes to flying, wingsuit mechanics of the reboot might be the next best thing. Obviously gone. While the superpowers in Saints Row 4 are obviously gone, the revamped wingsuit mechanics of the reboot might be the next best thing.
We don't need a next big thing of the superpowers. We don't need it at all. Get us out of the sky. Just put a helicopter or a plane up there, my nigga. We don't need to be flying around.
Heck, when it comes to flying, or rather gliding,
A jetpack could even be better. It's not the flying part. It's just the, how can I put it? This is not realistic. Well, I don't know. Central not always realistic. I don't know how can I put this. Just do it another type of way. We can fly around, but just not like this. Like, do something else with it. Come on, man.
it might actually be just as good. For one, the steering controls look pretty responsive, and second, you might actually gain certain wingsuit-specific combat abilities. Here we see your character stomp some enemies from the air.
First of all, how is that possible? How a wingsuit, you're gliding, you're not actually flying. So if you go down, hit someone, how would you back in the air like that and that fast? What? And plus, that's trash. We don't need that. You could have just killed the superpowers in the game. What are you talking about?
Then resume flight. It's also been confirmed that you can hijack cars.
And why would I ever just shoot at people when I can just go in the air, shoot down, hit them in the face, go back in the air, shoot down? Like, why would I waste my time shooting at them when they can't even hit me? These folks are dumb, man.
From above by landing on them if your aim and timing are right. And from this footage, it looks like you don't even need to deploy a parachute to touch down. Making things even more convenient is that, similar to, say, Far Cry 6, the developers have said when you
now they want to be like Far Cry. Make your mind up, man.
fast travel, you'll have the option to drop out of the sky and use your wingsuit to glide to the ground. Next, while you may not be able to just jump into the air like Superman, there are what Game Informer called, quote, designated launchers throughout the world that I'm guessing will help you gain significant altitude if you don't want to instead leap off a tall building. That could be what we see here, but this actually looks to me like something else. Maybe some sort of bomb that explodes, launching you into the air. See what I mean? There's some pretty over-the-top stuff here. The
That's
final
not
maneuver
good.
that I haven't even mentioned is that you can use your wingsuit to catapult yourself off a speeding car. How much altitude you'll actually be able to gain, I don't know, but speeding towards, say, a jump or a cliff, then using the wingsuit to leap off before your ride crashes back to the ground does sound pretty cool.
Yeah, it sound cool. It just don't sound cool in the Saints Row game. Put it into something else. Car combat has been revamped.
While it doesn't look like car combat in Saints Row is going to be all that crazy, it's definitely getting some upgrades. First off, you can now climb on top of your car, giving you a more flexible range of movement.
Okay,
Now,
that's
according
cool.
to Game Informer, you can do this even if you're driving solo, but the time you'll want to spend on the roof of your car will be limited because you'll slow down due to the lack of natural momentum. So,
Yeah,
this mechanic will obviously work much better if you have a co-op partner.
Yeah, that's
and I do
actually
talk
good.
quite a bit about co-op in a bit.
That's good. That's
But even
good.
without a partner, I'm hopeful that solo players will be able to do this on solo missions that involve, say, a getaway driver. And speaking of, one of your fellow Saints, Nina, happens to be, you guessed it, a getaway driver. The next new car combat
sounds
mechanic
good.
is the side swipe. With a button press and a tilt of the analog stick, you can now swipe left or right to cause damage to enemy cars and ram them off the road. And lastly, notice the health
So you're
meters.
just moving over.
I'm pretty sure that red is for the enemy driver and blue for their car. Now, some players might think these crowd the HUD, but for me, they'll
I mean, that's kind of obvious. You see the blue has a car symbol.
help decide which vehicles to target if I'm getting chased by a group, and some of them are low on health.
Co-op is untethered. What do you mean?
Okay, let's talk about co-op, but before I get into the whole untethered thing, let's cover some basic details. First off, co-op is drop in, drop out, and it's limited to just 2 players. But what's not limited
That
is
what
the number
co-op
of
mean?
missions you can apparently play with a friend. According to executive producer Rob Loftus, every single mission in the game is playable in co-op.
It's not. It been like that. That's not new.
Now, getting to the topic at hand, what does untethered even mean?
Tell me.
Basically, if you're playing with a friend and you're just exploring, you're not required to stick together.
Front door.
Described by Game Informer, quote, co-op play is
Okay, what are they
required to
talking
stick
about?
together. Basically, if you're playing with a friend and you're just exploring, you're not
Right.
required to stick together.
You was never required to stick together in the first place. Like they just telling the stuff that we are like this already been in games already. Like this is nothing new.
As described by Game Informer, quote, co-op play is untethered, meaning you can explore the city independent of one another. But if one player enters a mission, the other warps to them and joins the task at hand.
Once again, that's how it been. It been like that. Like that's how it's always been. You can prank your partner. This is where they lost me at. Like, what are you talking about?
Now this could be pretty cool. According to the developers, Saints Row will literally let you prank your co-op partner. Quoted in Game Informer, Traficante said, "It's something totally different that we've never done before and that players are going to absolutely love. When they get together, they get access to the pranking system, and you can just let your imagination run with what would you do to prank your co-op partner." Okay, so what type of pranks are we talking about? For me, I'm hoping for more fourth wall breaking stuff. Maybe you can change the music on your partner's game to something like, I don't know, 1970s porno music. Or maybe you can change your partner's voice to sound like they just inhaled a bunch of helium. Those are just some random thoughts, but consider my curiosity piqued. Fourth wall breaking stuff. Maybe you can change the music on your partner's game to something like, I don't know, 1970s porno music.
That's the type of pranks we pulling. We're changing the radio to porn. I swear to God, bro.
300 for that and 2,000 for this, way too expensive. But today I'm gonna show you guys how to get all this stuff for a lot cheaper. Okay, so first, go to one of your favorite gaming websites. Select the products you want.
Co-op progress carries over to single player.
One of the more frustrating aspects to some co-op games is when any progress you make with a friend doesn't carry over to your single-player game. But according to Game Informer, that's not the case in Saints Row. Here's a direct quote from senior editor Brian Shea.
I mean, I believe this is something that's been in games already, but I don't think it should carry over though. I mean, unless No, I don't think it should carry over because you're having help through the story versus beating it by yourself. So yeah. Or maybe they could just have two different saves. So one save is for when you're co-oping and the other. This doesn't even matter for real. But to be honest, it doesn't.
Jay, if I come into your game and we do
That doesn't matter. All this doesn't matter. There's a wrecking ball mechanic.
One of the more interesting and fun mechanics in Saints Row is what I've heard called the tethering mechanic, but I'm going to call it the wrecking ball mechanic.
Everything is
Basically,
tethering.
you can tow large
Everything's
objects
tethered.
behind you and use them to cause excessive damage to the environment. While this footage is of a specific story mission, Game Informer did say you can do this anywhere, anytime out in the open world as long as you have a vehicle with the right equipment. And by the way, yes, there is a poor soul in that porta potty. Before I move on, it's worth noting that helicopters can also be used to carry vehicles, and it looks like this will actually work as an even more literal wrecking ball.
Okay, but think about this. While you're using that wrecking ball or whatever, don't think you're breaking our fences. tents where they just showed us, and probably small trees. You can't really do that much damage in a world, bro. Like, this is not even like in some type of way you could do that in Central 2. With the tow truck, you just put a car on the back of it. You fling that mug around, and you're breaking stuff. And you can do that in GTA 2 with the helicopter. They got a helicopter in GTA. You can pick cars up and carry them around. Not a GTA clone. You can customize your home base. If they mean that you can customize your crib like in Saints Row 2, I'm getting off because this is nothing new. Like, this is nothing new. Like, if it's the same thing with Saints Row 2 where you can customize your crib, I'm getting out of the video.
In Saints Row, your base of operations will be an abandoned church that you'll convert into
a church. That's the same as
hideout early on. This is likely where you'll store your vehicles, your weapons, adjust your loadout, and customize your outfit. But you'll also be able to customize the church itself. According to, again, Game Informer, quote, the church starts in a sorry state, but you can improve the HQ by raking in the dough. They also gave one example. In that mission where you're towing a porta potty behind your car, when you complete that mission, you're apparently rewarded with an actual porta potty that you can then place in the church as what I guess you could call a decoration.